the senior doctor is saying to the junior one, can you sleep? Right? There's a conversation before where that thing to say, yes, happening in this case, yes, in you sleep. And then now, as if to deal with her, they ignore her. She's left all alone, lying on that hospital.
Still in pain.
Still in pain?
Because it's not like this is like you had a conversation, the pain now suddenly.
It's hours. What I'm talking about is hours. She arrives at 11. She's not attended to until 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, she's assigned a ward where she will be taken to, that on the bed, left there. Now, the messed up thing, therefore says, fucked up situation happens here. She decides the baby's coming out. She's now helping herself.
The difference in justice in our country, and I'd like to hear your take on this, is the have and the have-nots.
Yeah.
If you don't have, you will most certainly end up in jail. Right or wrong?
Correct.
Good evening. What's against Blombile? And I wake up at the such a serious. No one is taking us serious. I am a man here today who will try and shed some light on a few issues that we obviously are concerned about, or a few issues that we might be concerned about, or a few issues that Abade Mali might be concerned about. We'll just determine those things as we go on. I'd like him to introduce himself. Tatela Makama.
Yeah, Tony Mathe. The man with passion. A passion for, I would not say for black communities, but for the community at large. In South Africa, particularly as far as legal issues are concerned. I mean, we're talking about a country that is in need, a country where people do not know what they're supposed to do when what happens. So I'm from the legal fraternity, and Milwaban, who is passionate about it.
Before speaker like Melaban, because I bet we all understand about Melibasaban. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, and I'm sure as Umeli you can't get into that, but hopefully those would clear about ganja. However, so ideally what we'd like to do on the podcast is know the person behind the passion, the person behind the career, or the person behind the movement or the project.
Yeah.
Is we would like to know you. Who are you as a person, and why this career? Why this law?
Very well. you know, some things call you. Some things call you. Some things invite you. Some things, as you grow up, every day of your life, you are shaped into becoming what the universe wants you to be.
Sort of consumed by it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you I think the whole thing is to allow it, allow the universe to take you where you're going. So I think, why law?
Before you answer the why law, okay? So what I want to know is, have you always known? You know, there are people who, from an early age, if you ask them, they've always known. You know, from an early childhood, the childhood place, they knew that this is what they want. Or, like, I'll give you an example. So, for instance, people like me, Sabikazi, I can tell you for a fact, I never wanted to be a doctor. I never wanted to see anything be open.
Yeah.
But can you honestly say, this has always been? Is it something that you're always drawn to? Were you drawn to it because of past generations, the people before you? Or is it something that literally happened to you? As you say, what did the universe drew you to it?
Just You know, I think,
or maybe think back to at what point did you think you were? What was the telling moment?
So I grew up at what? West. Stegasi sort of life.
Not so much go up by it.
Not so much. And well, of course, sometimes you find yourself in maybe
sticky situations.
Sticky situations. Because, I mean, at the end of the class,
yeah. I mean, every teacher in the class will tell you, pretty sticky situations.
And you are thrown into things sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a part of it, but
you can't avoid them, man. So yeah,
everyone else is doing it, and so I think even growing up then, I think from the early age, obviously, I'm actually get up to no good. So I guess somewhere, and then there will always be conflicts, right? Yeah. One and since I was clever in Dallas is online, and I became quickly a peacemaker. Now, I didn't become a peacemaker that says no, peace. Remember, when people are fighting, you don't come and say no, you are wrong. No, you are wrong. So I caught the strategy in. No. Should listen. What happened here? So now I mean, who was it? Very actually.
It's a good cause.
But can we understand what happened here? And then you will tell me your story. X will tell me the story. I'll be like, but I'm better. Look at the issue here. Actually, it's not what you for the actual now to what you am try. And can I we don't share some share that.
Some food I see.
Yeah. Joe asked me the last time and solve the problem.
It's just my way is just that we solve an.
Yeah, where is she? She's getting on the G class.
Sharp. Company out.
Whatever. And then at the end, what happens?
Yeah.
You are left with that issue now. Send me one out team. There's an issue here. But what I said to you, Mang Lamula, is something that's gonna stay with you. More one of the out.
There's nothing remember the house.
Yeah, the out to the end, Elian was actually right.
Yeah.
What we were fighting about here, actually, that's not sense at all.
So what you're saying, what I hear you saying is, apart from the fact that you understood how every story has two sides, is that also you're very intimidating because you were tall. Which we never got to now, what fine game. You know, God doesn't give you everything. Good. So now you go into this law thing, and we all know law can be somewhat crushing.
Yeah.
You go into it, and you head into it, you dive in head first. For you, must be very hard diving head first. But you get into it, and you find the love for it.
Yes.
How did you come to the point, when you have to now decide, okay, there's so many laws in front of me, this is the one I want to go with. What pushed you to that direction?
Having grown up the gas, you see a lot of things that are going wrong. Particularly related to human rights. People have rights. A lot of times it goes wrong. And I'm sorry to say this, man. A lot of times the rights are violated by the state. There are organs of the state that we know for a fact that even those departments, they know every week, every day they are faced with lawsuits emanating from the members of those particular departments violating the rights of the people. You're dealing with the issue of police now coming in here, breaking down the door, accusing you with something, beating you up. Then at the end, they find that actually you are the wrong guy. That is some serious violation of rights. you're dealing with women that have to go to public hospitals to give birth. There's negligence. Some of them die.
Some of them make it. There was even negligence in the negligence.
Yes. Some of them make it, but their children don't make it. Some of them, children make it, but with deformity of some sort.
Because it's something that was avoidable.
And I think maybe there's a recent case that came to us of a mother who was in hospital. She was pregnant 24 weeks, due to give birth. She gets to the hospital and she's there alone. Now, comes in 2 daughters. One to me, I think, the was just qualified with the senior doctor. The senior doctor is saying to the junior one, can you sleep? Right? There's a conversation before where that's seeking to say, yes,
happening in this case.
yes,
Induced labor.
now she's here and you have these 2 doctors. These 2 doctors are saying, the young one is saying, let's administer steroid so that the child is born properly, even though it's premature, so that the child is born properly and then we can
Give the child a chance, basically.
yes. The senior doctor says no. How many children do you think we're going to save? Now, they say induced labor. Inducing that labor would mean that this young mother would lose the baby. Because they were talking this while she's here.
She's aware of the safety and who needs to be basically alive in that situation or not be alive, who basically gets to come out of that situation.
Yeah. And she decides to say, look, I'm not inducing labor. It's fine. I will bear the pains. Do what you have to do. But administer steroid, like this young doctor is saying. And then now, as if to deal with her, they ignore her. She's left all alone, lying on that hospital.
Still in pain, by the way.
Still in pain?
Because it's not like this is like you had a conversation, the pain now suddenly.
It's hours. What I'm talking about is hours. She arrives at 11. She's not attended to until 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, she's assigned a ward where she will be taken to, that on the bed, left there. I can comfortably say left for dead. Because she's in pain. She needs medical assistance.
She has no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
Probably her first child. She's never done this before.
Exactly.
The world she's in is entirely different
Now,
to what it should be.
yeah,
Ideally.
now remember, she was listening to a doctor saying we can't save all children.
So she now is sitting there knowing very well that there's a very high probability that she'll come out of here without the child.
Without the child.
But what she's not aware is she might not even make it out.
To make it much more traumatic, she's there, she's screaming. Those videos. Luckily, she called someone, in desperate moment. She's calling mother and she's calling brother, anyone that can help, because what she's going through here is hell. One friend says, no, you know what? Whatever you do there, start taking videos, start recording, so that when you give your story,
Yeah.
no one will say, yeah, I would say,
Well, in labor pain.
yes, there's labor pains. When people are in labor pain, they scream. Now, she's screaming. Doctors are like, and the nurses not far away from where she is on that bed. They ignore. The person next to her starts screaming with her for attention. A nurse comes in to attend this one, not her. Now, the messed up thing, therefore says, fucked up situation happens here. She decides the baby's coming out. She's now helping herself. No nurse, nothing. The head comes out. A nurse is standing right next to her. The nurse looks away. The nurse walks away. 45 minutes to an hour later, another nurse comes in. Now the whole baby's out. Umbilical cord still connected. Now, this lady says the child screamed, the child was crying. The baby. Until the baby kept quiet. Because there was no assistance. So cried to death, basically. Is that not an execution by the state? Because this lady is in the hospital of the state. Now, she's giving birth all by herself. In a state hospital. In a state hospital. The nurse walked away.
Probably wearing state hospital clothing.
Now, think about situations of that nature. Who then fights for those people? Look, now she's desperate. She was desperate, needing help. Who can assist me to take this out? Because I have been wronged here. Lawyers are expensive. First thing first, well, to hear your case, have some consultation fee. Okay, we'll be nice to you and say, have 5,000.
Just to hear you listen to you. This is me to sit down there and decide whether or not I'm going to take this case. And remember, deciding whether or not they're going to take this case is based on the facts that you're putting on the table.
Yeah.
And the facts that you're putting on the table are also the same facts that are based on the pain that you are feeling and the trauma that you are feeling. So this goes back to so many injustices in my view, which I'd like us to... I don't went a little too deep.
Yeah, I just want to make you an example of this sort of things with you.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But, so I want us to go from how quickly it gets bad from a simple sinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to keep this story that you said. So the story that you just gave us, I want this on everyone.
Yeah, this point you one of 1 in 142.
So I want for a moment this story to sit in the background of everyone else. And I'll say the headlining factor here is a child cried to death. So let's say child cried to death. Let's keep that story in the background because that's what media will do. That give you a headline without the facts.
Exactly.
So you've given us the facts and the direction in terms of the one side of the story.
Yeah.
Which is this one.
The other side have their own stories.
The other side has their own story, and normally their story is based on keeping their employment.
Of course.
I mean, the government.
Union fighting.
Getting fees. And there are a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
But today we are going to look at the human factor.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to have a conversation about human factor. Mm-hmm. But I want everyone to not forget this child crying to death. And that's why this needs to be the background of it all. Where the child really did cry to death and no media ever posted it.
It's when it was covered. It was SAPC.
Yeah, but not enough for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
perhaps.
When I say not enough for me, I'll put it to... It's a conversation for another day. We'll have a proper conversation safely once we've researched how we can blame the media without being blamed. How we can put the media basically on a spotlight without being blamed.
But to be fair to the media.
But to be fair to them is also they're also old. But we'll get to those, right? But the crux of it is I want us to go to the very moment. And I think a lot of us have had that moment. Anyone who's come across law or justice, even in just your car, what the justice system or the arms of the law don't understand is at the moment you wave me to stop, I'm already terrified. Because our experience with the law is such that it's traumatic.
Yeah.
So most of our experiences with the law comes from, unfortunately, the past times, how our parents were treated,
Yeah.
how our brothers and sisters were treated. So, as opposed to the justice system representing safety, currently, I can think of a few people that are able to be stopped and feel
Comfortable, yeah.
right? But what we would like to do is get to the what do I do at this? And I don't think it's being done enough. And I'll say this because there's so many things that go wrong from a simple scenario.
Yeah.
That could have been remedied by a conversation.
Yes.
You're currently sitting here and France is up in arms because the 17-year-old was shot because he refused to stop.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Did he refuse to stop, or did he not know or acknowledge, or was he so terrified that he couldn't stop? So I want us to now bring it home and say, what do I do first when facing the armed thing? And if there are different procedures depending on a traffic cop, or depending upon the hawks, depending upon that, what's supposed to happen? So when I'm being approached by law, what am I supposed to do as a black person? Because the reality is we are not approached the same.
Yeah, that's true.
That we can't hide.
I'm not going to argue that. Yeah.
What do I do when I'm being approached by the arms of the... What's the first thing? So, and when I ask you this question because I'm not asking you this question from a law perspective. I want you to apply your law, but your humanity as well. How do I stay safe and alive when being approached by the law?
Well, not an easy question.
I'm sorry.
Even for me.
I wish I could ask easy questions.
Even for me.
These are real questions,
Yes.
that we've been in. So I'll give a scenario, maybe that will help you out, right? I am driving a car. I am intoxicated. I know I am intoxicated.
Yeah.
I am stopped. Run me through what should happen. What should happen as per the law when I'm being stopped.
By who?
Let's give it to the traffic cops this time. So I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
I haven't swayed. I haven't done anything wrong. They are simply just running their stops and, just their normal.
Yeah.
Right? And they happen to stop me.
Yeah.
What should be happening in that scenario?
No.
By law.
Well, the reason why I'm saying it's not an easy question. I think in law, no question is easy.
Interpretation is...
Because now you need to consider this, consider that. It's a lot of factors. There's a lot of laws in just one scenario alone. But we've seen, obviously, people getting stopped by the police and then it gets out of hand. Escalates. I have, personally, I've experienced someone that I knew who was stopped by the police early hours of the morning. And there was some sort of altercation and was actually beaten to death by the police. I'm not saying that the police are bad people.
Maybe I'm asking you to come from a police angle and understand why and how police should stop. Maybe what I should be asking is, when I'm being stopped as a civilian, what should I do?
Well, the law...
What should I do to stay alive?
The law says you have to comply, right? They're stopping you. Here's blue lights.
Comply.
Comply. You need to comply because if you don't...
So the law says you must comply.
You have to comply. Because if you don't comply, escalation...
You're quickly becoming a danger.
Yeah, you're becoming a danger, but suspect or not. I've seen some trucks where they actually put a mark because of robberies. They say, this truck will stop at the nearest police station in the garage. So the instruction that they have is that when they are stopped by blue lights, they must wave a hand, communicate with them to say, no, I'm fine, but can we proceed to public...
That's a legal thing.
I think it's a logical thing to do. And I will tell you why. We're dealing with a country where you read the news, man, there's blue light robberies. People coming from the airport, followed home by people that airports to be police. Now, these days we don't even know. We don't even know who's a cop, who's not. Because just last week I was reading one. These oaks have a BMW fully marked with the lights and all. Full uniform. And they're robbing people.
But aren't these cars then being marked at a specific place where SAPS does this?
Yeah, but now how do you control that? To be fair to SAPS, how do you control the marking of the car? Because if you had a printing shop today that marks vehicles, state vehicles, or any other vehicle, and I come to you with my crooked intentions to say, look, I want you to do this for me. I'll pay 50,000 for you to not ever tell anyone that you marked this vehicle for me. I don't know how they operate.
Yeah.
It happens. It's something that you can find. Something that we're dealing with where
somebody talks.
Someone's going to clone your number plates.
Yeah.
It's that question as well as to, but shouldn't his number plate distributing or printing shops be regulated? Yeah, so there must be some audit of some sort to say number plate number so was printed here by who produced the ID. There's a
like it can't just
you can trace it.
Not anyone can just come up and
yes.
This.
So to be fair, the police also have hands full because they are dealing with that situation. I think human from
I don't agree with it. Let me tell you why I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Right? So the police is an arm of the law.
Yes.
For me to be sympathetic to them, there has to be some kind of prima facie or some kind of proof that this is beyond their control.
Yeah.
And here's where I come from. I can't cry to the same people who are crying foul.
Yeah.
They are what should be protecting us. And whether they are rogue elements, criminal elements, isn't that why they are there?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
So now, if we are now saying, well, they are also not really equipped, isn't then the problem a lot deeper than the SAPS? Shouldn't we then bring a cleaner brew?
Yeah, surely. I mean, police have crime intelligence.
So this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. We can't keep forgiving injustice.
Yes.
Because it can be explained.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is why I said that girl crying to death, I wanted to be the background. Because we will find someone who was arrested. Incorrectly so.
Yeah.
Right? And there are people in jail because they stole a bar of chocolate for 7 years currently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there are people who've made it who are not in jail.
And you watch them walk.
Yes, and here's the difference.
Yeah.
Let's all put it out there. Let's all be honest with each other. The difference between justice in our country isn't the inability for us to interpret justice. The difference in justice in our country, and I'd like to hear your take on this, is the have and the have-nots.
Yeah.
If you don't have, you will most certainly end up in jail, right or wrong.
Correct.
If you have, you're most likely to walk free unless they decide to make an example of you.
Uh-huh.
Right? So let's leave the have-nots because we don't have. Mm-hmm. And even if we do have, we had to fight twice as hard to have.
Yeah.
I want this segment to be more about having a conversation with the have-nots.
Yeah.
Is it okay for the police to kick down your door at 2 o'clock in the morning?
No, absolutely not.
Can we understand why that is not okay?
Well, there's laws around.
And please explain it. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. It's just a topic that I'm very passionate about. Because it has happened to so many of us.
Yes.
Right? Where they will kick down the door. They've been knocking
in black homes.
2 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
Yes, in black home.
Yes.
Right?
Let's not be shy.
Let's not be shy. Right?
Yeah.
This will happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, what do I do? Let's say they do that to me and I'm terrified and I let them take me.
Yeah.
What's my immediate step afterwards? Because the reality is that we don't know enough to be able to get ourselves from under ourselves. Even if I did the crime, what now has happened is not okay.
Yes.
What do I do to get myself from under that situation? what's the closest thing, humanely costless, that I can?
IPID.
How do I get off IPID when I'm in jail?
Well, look, you still have rights when you're in jail.
Well, I'm still at the police station technically, but
The police station, you still have rights. They still should allow you to make phone calls.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree with you, but okay.
I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that we've assisted. You get this person was arrested on a Friday night, and then you get a phone call Sunday night. Then you ask them, but what was happening? They're like, no, I tried, but I was not allowed. My phone was taken away from me. And when I asked for my phone, but was also clear.
So how soon are you allowed to make it?
Immediately when you're arrested, when you get to the police station, they should have.
Before they check you in, is this after the fingerprints or before the fingerprints? When can I make it?
Remember charging.
After search.
In terms of the law, when you're arrested, the law says you must be presented before the court within 48 hours of your arrest.
Okay.
Now,
is this inclusive of the weekend? Exclusive
of the weekend.
48 hours in general.
Exclusive of the weekend.
Okay, exclusive of the weekend.
Our magistrate courts, for instance, don't operate on, even high courts don't operate on weekends, unless maybe you're approaching them on urgent basis where they can assist you on a weekend. That's generally it doesn't.
So the weekend.
So you'll be arrested on a Friday night.
Friday, nice and easy.
No, you'll have to bear with it there because you can't violate.
Yeah. But when can I make a call from that point? So from the time I'm arrested, let's give it a time. 7 o'clock I'm arrested. Let's say Kingsway Road.
Yeah.
Arrested. Right? I'm in the police station so let's assume when traffic officers don't have a warrant, so eventually they'll hand me over to SAPS, right? Yeah. So eventually they hand me over to the SAPS. When they hand me over, which is technically when the arresting officer would be Metropolis. That would be the police officer that opens the case against you. Say maybe for drinking and driving. Yeah.
Then obviously handing you to SAPS.
This is after taking the blood and everything.
Yes, after taking the blood and this, what do you call those things? Breathalyzers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what then happens at the police station?
Now, when you get to the police station, it's your rights. They need to give you your rights. You don't like
what is my right? What I can
you have a right. If you say I need to contact my lawyer, attorney,
is this happening?
Remember, you are not
back to the cell.
Yeah, before you get in the cell.
I shoot.
Or you can get in the cell and then you can request us to say, no, I need to make a call. I need to let someone know that I'm arrested. I'm here.
Roughly how much time do I have to make a call? So the reason I ask this is because, so what normally happens with most people is they get arrested, they're thrown in a cell.
Yeah.
Right? The next conversation they have with anyone else is a person who's saying, I can help you.
Who's
maybe an attorney or a lawyer. Maybe it was they helping someone else.
Actually,
so what I'm asking is, from the time I'm being arrested, at what point am I allowed to make the call? Because this is very important. Because it then allows me to know exactly in these bounds of the law where I am. And the fact that it is so vague in our constitution, it worries. Well, they say you are allowed a call, but the call, you are allowed it when they give it to you. Am I really allowed a call if I can only get it when they give it to me?
You know why I'm laughing? Because I think half of the police stations that I've been at, the phones are not always working.
So at what point am I going to make a call?
Oh, remember when they arrest you, they take your cell phone away.
So
the law says,
I'm allowed
to make a call. Or if you say to me, fine, I'll give you your cell phone to make a call. I don't have head time. I'm arrested. There's state resources. These phones, there's a tender for F's sake that is out. There is someone that has to maintain these phones. But if you get to the police station, the phones are not working. As they look away, like I'm a phone as about.
Okay, so we clearly I feel like this conversation is too wide open. I feel like this podcast needs to stop entirely. I feel like we need to bend the entire table, start afresh, get a new table, because I think the challenge now is, do we even know our own law enough to be able to defend ourselves against our own law if we didn't study it?
No, you see,
You feel South Africans know their own law?
no, they don't. Why do you think what they have to do is they please? And the
Police know their own law.
the police themselves don't know the law.
Because the moment you question a police officer because I've done this,
Yeah, that was to clear.
that was it to claim. So you probably end up in more trouble than you should.
Mavimbela. Yeah, I'm clever.
Now I'm clear, but they
Clever.
come with years.
30 years later. And then you know what they would do? And this I know for a fact, they would lock you in the back of the van. You are handcuffed. They would drive around very rough.
For hours with your head.
They're not all over the place. They're dealing with you. Which are not some people clever. We are papa though. And then at the end, some of them would say, yeah, I'm be a car.
Which brings me to another question.
Now, that in law,
that
was an action. Now, remember that when you define the arrest means that your rights are now limited.
without you directly to.
I'm a police officer. I'm saying to you,
right?
You are under arrest now.
Yeah.
That means that now you're
You're now state property, basically.
constitutionally speaking, everyone has a freedom of movement. You have the right to move.
But what I
At the moment I'm saying you are arrested.
so I must move direct to the police station.
Yes. Now you need to follow what the Criminal Procedure Act says.
But how am I going to know behind the van that they move directly to the police station?
You don't. And you see,
Oh, so the law has gaps.
the law has gaps.
Okay, so wait.
And when you get to court now, try to
I'm getting
take it.
too personal and too emotional.
Yeah.
And this is why I said this needs to be a more normal, structured conversation, because I feel like there are so many arms of the law
Yeah.
and so many divisions of the law. There's
Yes.
so much that we haven't touched
Yes.
that we should be touching. But the bare minimum of being arrested right now
Yeah.
is not coming to the fore. So right now, cops can come in here and arrest us.
Yeah.
God forbid. Touch wood.
I hope
What
that.
do we do as blacks? I know as whites, touch wood. What else?
I don't know.
But in reality, what I'm saying is,
I mean, yeah.
I feel like in having this conversation, and thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for shedding some light. But in having this conversation, what I'm realizing is before we can even begin to have the conversation,
Yeah.
and if you are up to it, maybe we should have segments and conversations. Now, this is that throw forward we had a conversation about. This is the throw forward.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be having conversations about education.
Purely about
people
arrest.
So we can start at arrest,
Yes.
move on from when you are now arrested.
Yeah.
And then we can look at why you are arrested. Then we can look at the different reasons of arrest in different courts and why you would go there. Because right now, I think the problem is we're trying to discuss law, but even in the law itself, we are realizing very quickly that even the people in the law don't understand it themselves.
Yeah.
Even the people who are trained
They don't know.
enforce this law don't know it, but the people that this law is being enforced on also don't know it. So what normally then happens is the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And therefore, that child, because that child was a rich child, would not have cried to them. And that's how
I have not experienced these cases from white communities.
well, let's say rich communities.
No, but I'll tell you what. I think unalenkinga le yamaphoyisa wethu. When they see a white man, why they have to speak English? Hey.
And the fact that I'm already thinking in Zulu and translating, I said, no, I want to give them what they want.
I'm gonna say, hey, hello, madam. I know they're gonna hate me for this, but that's what. Look, my brother, I do come and hang out with us, and then half the time, Maupuma, somewhere down the road there will be some roadblock. Check us. Hey, check you guys now. Don't want Clement. I'm not gonna tolerate nonsense. Zero tolerance, they say. Zero tolerance. And then I go to my house, right? I I'm fortunate enough to live in the suburb. You go there, there's white people where they drink. Never in my life, never.
Have you seen?
Never. No, not even a
same ring.
Not even a van of a cop.
Well, I said that means white kids, bro. Gonna be my brother. White kids are for you.
White kids are this. I'm a Ford Fiesta. I'm fast. They go and race from one place. I have never seen cops messing with those people.
They have.
Yes.
They have nots.
And for us, in the cars here, my brother, they will deal with you. And when you try to say, no, I know my rights. Yes, there's a lot of clapper towards.
Can we then maybe get you to commit?
Yeah.
To coming back.
Yes, definitely.
For these segments.
Yeah.
For these segments, what we're now going to do is, I think, is between you and me and the entire country. And whoever might be watching, as we say that, no one was taking us as with the two a conversation. But in reality, is that between me and you, can we maybe not take it upon ourselves and put our hands up to say, maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe once every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how far along the distances are, but can we commit to say, ours will be a passion to try and educate the have-nots about their rights. And their actual rights, not the, it's not a right, relax, calm down. I'm talking about the actual right when you're facing the law.
You know,
where your freedom of speech, if it impairs another, it's no longer a sin, it becomes a crime.
Yes.
Where your right to bear an arm, for instance, if used incorrectly, is now a violation and a criminal offense. Or where, what do I do when faced with this? I think let's look at, I know we've moved far now, but I think we're in a better place to be able to educate and give our community and the have-nots and empower them. Yes. Even if it means we must have this podcast somewhere where we feel
they must
like,
there.
For instance, for me, this podcast today would have been perfect at Deep Sleuth. Because
the current situation.
They have been talking, they've been asking, they've been singing, they've been asking, but no one heard them. They
no,
arms.
No, you're wrong. Nobody cares.
Well, okay, let's say
nobody cares.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, wait until Santin stands up and say, we're tired of crime. Hey, ho.
See?
We are tired of crime.
These are the same people that were able to get rid of a whole president.
Yes.
Without fire, without tires.
Yeah.
But if this conversation was had today at Deep Sleuth, amongst the tires and the flames that are going on at Deep Sleuth, hats out to Deep Sleuth.
Yeah.
Where the police force came out strong and took their leaders for inciting violence. But the police didn't act when the people of Deep Sleuth didn't have electricity or water, which is unconstitutional. Unconstitutional to them. That was a crime before the actual crime. But they arrested the leaders for inciting violence. They were crying out for water. They were crying out for safety. They were crying out for electricity. Our constitution says they should have those things. And the mere fact that they didn't have those things, it means a crime was done and the police did nothing.
And you know what?
But they striked and bent tires, and all of a sudden the police is very active.
Now,
all of a sudden the leaders are arrested.
While you are there, you know, these arrests of these community leaders is, to me, it's actually meant to silence the community. Because
it's to take away their power.
Yeah,
because now who have your leader, you might not be able to bend.
In the ANC, Bambile. And most of the time, what happens with these sort of matters, sort of cases, those people are released. Maybe like 3 months down the line, but because right now South Africa is looking at Deep Sleuth, and the community is looking at Deep Sleuth, they're following their leaders. then what do? Deal with the leaders. You hit the leader, the rest of the community keeps quiet.
So you cut off the head, basically.
Is that not how our rights are infringed, though? You're infringing my right. I have a right to protest.
I hear you.
I have a right to be heard. Now you are arresting my leader in order to intimidate me.
I hear you,
To
but
shut
I'll
up.
still take you back to the very cracks of the issue.
Yeah.
The issue here is sanitary.
Yeah.
Water, electricity,
Basic human
safe,
rights.
because they are worried about crime,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So their rights are currently being infringed upon,
Yes.
right? The SAPS did nothing to assist or, help or
Yeah.
lighten the load.
Yeah.
But when they took arms, when they decided to fight, when they decided to stand up as a community, for some reason, the SAPS was now able to act in their duty, in the inciting violence.
Sometimes.
But am I inciting violence if I'm fighting for what is... And, I want to say I'm not encouraging what they're doing. But
yes.
it's impossible not to see their side. It's impossible not to hear their cry. And this is why I left this to the end, because I didn't want it diluted.
Our Constitutional Court judges said we need more community activists. Our law is unjust.
But how
Our
do I
law
become
is
a
not
community activist if I'm going
You're going to be
honest?
intimidated. Yes, you're going to be arrested, deal with you,
Because
targeted. And
the mere fact is that why didn't they arrest the councillor when they didn't have water and electricity and safety? Why didn't
'cause
they
that's a
bring in
basic
the
human right.
captain? Why wasn't Pegitele there to address the safety issues they had? The foreign issues, the issues they have with foreigners and unregistered immigrants that they had, why wasn't this looked at until tires were burning? Right now, yes, politicians are there, people who are. But there are these activists that have been there, that have fought this struggle, that are encouraging now, sitting behind cold cells.
yes.
And I say to those activists, when you are out, you are more than welcome to
Continue. No, actually, contact us.
contact.
You are arrested, contact Marweshe Attorneys. Find us on Twitter, find us on Facebook.
It is unjust.
We are not going to let you down. I have watched recently, as we close, an innocent black man who drove through the streets of Ranfield going to drop a friend who was drunk home. He was stopped by white men who said they were community police force. Those boys were assaulted so bad. This young man is a teacher. So bad that they broke his knee. This cap is damaged now. Right? A criminal case was opened. Same people are still running around. This boy was never contacted by the police to say, come and ID people, or what can we do? How can we identify these perpetrators? No. But let me and you go right now
And decide to protect our
a
community.
guy in Ranfield. No, beat up a white guy in Ranfield.
What we are going to them up here. If he's white, we would still
Yes.
call to law.
Yes, we will be dealt with real quick. Is that justice?
They have.
Is that balanced?
Not.
The scale is not balanced. We don't hate the police officers.
We just want balance.
We want balance.
Fairness. We just
We
want,
want balance.
equality.
We want them to stop.
Prioritizing the haves.
I don't know. Cops took a conscious decision to participate in Marigana and shoot down people. They made that decision. You are told, you are given a rifle, go kill your brother. Fuck that shit. Sorry, man. That is fucked up. You are
We'll
told,
edge you out. Maybe
No.
not.
you are told, go kill your brother. Go kill your brother. That's an order. No, I have to follow my orders. You are fucking mowing down your own people who are sitting in that mountain there, protesting. You cage them so that they can run this way, where we can get them properly and shoot them down.
You used your training to get them and tunnel them.
When the big wigs of SAPS ordered the police to do that, while the community and the world watch, are they trying to instill some sort of trust between the community and them? This goes to your question. When they stop you, what do you do?
What do you do?
Do you trust them?
But I think maybe that question now, in the hindsight, goes further. Does it matter what you do? Because it's clear,
Yes.
that the law is wrong. If you don't have, chances are it won't matter what you do.
Yeah.
But if you have, you might come out of it alive.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm saddened by this conversation. I
It is
came
very
into it
sad.
very happy.
I'm sorry. When
I thought we were going to educate. I thought we were going to build, but as things stand, it's impossible to build from where we are. So maybe we start afresh and we do it right.
Yes.
This time we do something different. We don't point fingers. We don't blame.
Yeah.
We educate.
Yes.
Let's have segments where we actually do better. Can we? Knowing what we know,
Let's educate.
having been where we are, let's educate.
Let's educate and hope the other side.
No.
Where
We can't do.
I can educate you what to do when you're.
Let's educate,
The other
and then we can then fight. But we can't fight
the
without.
other side will lure you with your knowledge.
Yeah.
We just said.
But for now,
Right now.
for now, the problem is
you talk about your rights.
we don't even have an empty gun. You know, with education, at least there's an empty gun.
Yeah.
Right now, there isn't a gun to speak of. So we are going to war with people with weapons, and we get nothing.
Yeah.
So let's give education.
Yeah.
And then, at least with education, we now have a gun. And then we can try and load it. And we'll load it with people like you, where you say, if you find yourself in a situation like this, there's a forum ekasi that can do this with.
Yes.
Or there's a forum, or come to us, or let's do
Yes.
this, or go to this, or, you know. But let's first find a gun and then load it. But right now,
I agree.
we have nothing. We are going to a war with our heads. So I'm saying, if you are up to it,
We're going to educate.
let's educate.
We're going to.
Are you willing to give yourself to that?
100%.
You was
Maybe 7 years, someone's going to want this in 20 years. They're going to see that this is what we agreed. This is what we're going to keep up to.
So
This is what we are going to.
we'll try to educate as much as we can.
We'll bring other people, bring legal heads as well.
Legal heads for different departments,
Yes.
different arms of the law.
Yes.
We will make it such that when you are a black man, woman, child who has watched this podcast,
Yeah.
you at least know. As opposed to a 60% chance of coming back home, let's get it to 8.
Our education is not limited to laymen or community,
Yeah.
but is by extension, it will also benefit the members of the police.
Yes.
Because members of the police are part of the community.
Maybe they can come here and educate us as well. Maybe there's something we are saying wrong.
Exactly.
And we welcome their input. If there's
Yes.
someone from the SAPS who thinks our views are incorrect, who thinks how we are seeing
Yes.
the injustice or the lack of justice towards us or the poor, we welcome your presence here. Come here. We all this in court. Come here, my daughter. Come here.
Come answer.
Come here, answer. Tell us how far off from the tracks we are.
It's going to be a contest and civil debate.
Yes, there will be no tires, Ben.
Yes. No fees.
There will be very much knowledge given. So we invite everyone in the civil sector, in the private sector, in the state organs. If you feel you've got something to give to this conversation, please come up.
We're here.
We are willing to listen, we're willing to learn, and I'm sure our people from home are willing to do the same. With that being said, thank you. Danko. That's writing down.
See you again.